Perspective. Perspective can give us a psychological edge, a psychological and emotional advantage. When all of these events are shooting at us, are tumbling all around us, are coming at us from all directions and so quickly, and they're coming at us 24/7. Perspective. You know, what we are experiencing, whether you realize it, is the collapse and reconfiguration of our American government as we know it. It officially started in January of 2008. But the real seed of all of this was planted in the mid-1960s with the assassination of John F. Kennedy. You know, Paranormal Talks, we are about education. We are here to help you, to give you perspective, to give you information and education around those things outside of the secular, outside of the regular material life. We want to show you information that is beyond the normal, paranormal, to show you information that is beyond the physical, metaphysical. The paranormal and the metaphysical is a huge part of our life and our world, and it's good to be educated about it, to be aware of it. Now, this video will be looking at a controlled remote viewer, which is actually a psychic person looking at a target using a mature, structured methodology of psychic reading. It's called remote viewing. So we'll be taking a look at that. Hi, I'm JJ from Paranormal Talks, paranormaltalks.com. And the site we'll be looking at, and the video we'll be listening to about the JFK assassination, it will give us perspective on the timeline and sort of the purpose for that assassination, which is very particular for our nation, America. Not sure why or what, but it is particular. This psychic reader, this remote viewer, he'll also be following and reading the soul, the spirit of JFK as he left his body and moved into the other frequency, which we call death. Some of us call it heaven. But once we leave behind a lower frequency flesh body, our spirit is freed and moves into the higher frequency dimension, which some call death, some call heaven, and to reconnect to God. And that's where we get a whole nother perspective as to the purpose of the assassination, and that it was as it should have been. It was planned, and it happened when it was made to happen. Very interesting, huh? So we'll be listening to Daz Smith. We'll be looking at his website and listening to his reading, his psychic reading of that event. We'll be looking at about the middle of his reading because it's very lengthy, but I just want to hit the salient points. So let's look at some of these things kicking off. This is our website, Paranormal Talks, and if you want to know more about me, just go about us, and there she be. And let's look at the baseline of where this fits. I began posting these predictive videos in May of 2019, and they have been evolving right on time per astrology. This video wraps around this event that's happening. You can see 3 of these things are happening to us all at the same time. That's why it's so exciting for us right now. This is Pluto and Capricorn. It is the implosion, destruction of government and institutions as we know them, and it finishes with us in the year 2024. Officially, it finishes with us in December of 2024. We should have a new government structure by that time, but there will continue to be some fallout for the next 2 years until, I'm looking at my cheat sheet here, June 1st, to be precise, of 2026. Now let's take a look at Daz's website. Here it is, for everything remote viewing. And this is his email if you want to get a hold of him, Daz, D-A-Z, .Smith gmail.com. Now, these very good psychic readers, or that is controlled remote viewers, they can also be commissioned to view certain areas of life in the world as you wish. That's my understanding. You can commission them to do that type of work, and which is very interesting, very interesting. This is the video we'll be looking at. The moment JFK died, remote viewing, the afterlife. We'll be looking at this. See, it's just about in the middle, but I want to give you perspective on that death and how that seed planted in the mid 1960s is still evolving, and it's really hitting home now that we are in the cycle with Pluto and Capricorn, which is the implosion and the reset, the destruction, and the transformation of our government as we know it. Okay, I got to fix the sound here. Let me play around with this. I always have to play around with this. Okay, there we go. And we'll listen to it. And here we go.
This is a past event. This is a past event that's very impacting. People were very emotional about it. It upset them. Bear with me a second, I'll try something.
Okay, one point I want to make, I forgot to make it, is during these psychic readings, these psychic readers, they are given a target to read. They don't know what it is. That target is represented by a series of random numbers. They have no idea what they are psychic reading, because you don't want to bring a conscious mind bias into a psychic reading, a controlled remote viewing. So this is how it's done. So Daz right now, you see him on the whiteboard drawing these things of what he's getting psychically. He doesn't know that this is the JFK assassination. He has no idea. He just has 5 or 6 random numbers that he's supposed to read. So that's how that process is done. Okay, so hold on and let's get back.
Here. Okay, time. Time seems to slow down. Use a different color here, it's not working very well. There seems to be a displacement of time across time. This seems to be like a... It feels like... from start to now, and this feels like a past. The past event. And it feels like the emotions transcend time. It feels like the event transcends time. Timeless. Even to now. People are still emotional about it now. But it seems slow as well. Yeah. At the key point of the event, it feels like time displaces, time slows down. Time, yeah. So this feels like a very powerful human response event. Humans got very emotional about this, and still do. Yeah, still do, I would say. So it's an event in the past, very emotional, impacts humans greatly. We get very emotional about it, and still do. And because of this, and the way it affects us, it feels like it's a target that almost, or not almost, but does transcend time itself. It feels like it crosses all barriers of time. But it also feels like a key part of the target is time slowing down. I don't know what that means at this stage, but it feels like at the moment of, I want to say impact or crash. At the moment of impact crash, the event, time slows. It's almost like you can see time in slow motion there for a short period, only a few seconds, and that feels like an important component. It's that mindset, something in the minds of people. That's what I'm going to put, because it came through. Yeah, so there's this slowness of time at the event, transcends time, but a very emotional target here. I can feel clouds of emotion everywhere. So if I'm at the target now, I'm standing in the target, I can feel it. I mean, the emotion starts before what I class, shouldn't call it the main event, but before the event thing that causes the problems. There's emotion there anyway, but all around, as I move slowly through the target to the time of something happening to this central life, emotions change there. There's loads of surprise, loads of shock. I can almost see the shocked faces. Energy levels instantly peak, then they rise. Shock, horror, yeah. It's like people are observing in real time something happening, an event. Something that shocks them to their core. And that reverberates through time, and it still shocks them to this day. They're still shocked. Okay, so let's see what we can pick up on the primary life and what's happening to them a bit more. Because we went through a process where they seem to be going through several states of transformation, I would say. So we're going to look at 14A, the main life. So there's a life, and it definitely feels like, yeah, so life, and there's a man-made structure. And he's inside, and there's movement, motion. This feels forward, and he feels happy. He's moving, he's calm, he's enjoying. That's what it feels like, he's enjoying whatever he's doing. And then there's this instant change. And then there's a new set of feelings here. And this is instantly surprised. Shock. Awe. Astonished. But this feels fast. I mean, we're not talking minutes here, we're talking seconds. Out of the blue. If something happens out of the blue, and this feels like an event, a surprise event. Oh, bear with me. Just had a feeling then. Alright, I'm going to make a note here, because because it's a surprise event to him, but maybe not to everyone. But we'll come back to that. Okay, so he's been surprised, shocked. Well, bear with me a sec. I've got to stop the video for a second. Again, it happens in seconds. So if this is an event, and it feels like an event where a life loses his life, he dies. It feels like a dying event, or so I might be jumping to a conclusion. It feels like a death event, but it feels like a transformation event. And I don't know if anyone can have an instant transformation otherwise. It does feel like other past deaths. So I'm going to have to say a death. I'm going to say a death event. Even though it may be jumping to a conclusion. I'm jumping into a conclusion because it feels so transformative. You know, he's happy, calm here, enjoying his life stuff, but happy in a normal kind of way. Goes through a surprise event that gives him massive amount of surprise, shock, rattles him, heart rate goes up, everything. But this is momentary. We're talking seconds, and it doesn't feel like a long transformation or death. It feels like it's almost instantaneous, and then there's a whole new set of feelings for him. And these are there's a calmness. It's almost like he was happy before, but then there's this calmness which is almost like silent. It feels slow, but it's not slow. Oh, that's hard. And I'm trying to experience what he's experiencing now. Sparkles of light appear, and these sparkles of light moved in from all different directions, and as they moved closer and closer together, they then clumped and formed into shapes that moved, and these shapes took the appearance of physical people. This is the first time I've experienced something like this, so I actually felt, that the life that I experienced in this death process went from a death almost to another life experience, and from the calmness of another state of being, he met other life forms that coalesced out of the air, really, out of thin air. They kind of formed out of nothing, but they were there. They were everywhere. They were everywhere but also in one place at the same time. It's very hard to put into words. Myself relax into this. There's this just calmness, mindfulness. You know, as I'm there in the zone, I can feel it enveloping me. It's just like everything's alright. And everything that's gone before doesn't matter. Even though it's seconds away, and this person feels like he's left a lot behind, family, situation, all that shock and everything, you know, it's all movement, quick and fast. It feels like it should matter, but it doesn't. It feels like it's accepted. But this feels instantaneous. It feels like a realization. Yeah. You know, it's meant to be. And he's okay with this. But he's not alone. I would like to say there are others around, but it doesn't feel like others. This is where it's slightly confusing. Bear with me a sec. What it feels like is if he was here, there's a mist all around. And this mist seems to kind of shape into recognizable forms. Bodies, even kind of spiritual type forms. So this does feel like a death event. It feels like a person is, going through a transformative event of being pretty content, happy, alive, going for his day-to-day business. Gets into the middle of a surprise event. Whilst emotion seems to, I can't tell at this stage, but he goes through a transformative event. It feels like he's dead, where it becomes more mindfulness. It feels detached from everything that's gone before. Not wholly detached, because there are still emotional feelings there for everything, but they don't mean as much. There's a bigger picture. And all around as well, it does feel like buffering clouds of energy all around. I can feel and see it, like steam. Is it like steam? Yeah, like thick steam that moves and shapes. And out the steam come shaped forms to meet this person.
When Daz finished this amazing session and turned it in for review, he had doubts about it.
Because when you go into such detail and you trust the process, so whatever information the process gives you, and in this case it was the process giving me a passenger in a vehicle, that was essentially being assassinated, and them going through a process where they died and came through to the other side, and there were other beings waiting for him that he communicated with. That's, in some circumstances, that's pretty extreme data. That's not the kind of thing that normal people hear on a normal day-to-day basis. So, writing that kind of thing down and having it recorded live on video and on paper for all the world to see, essentially, in a public project where, you could be wrong, because remote viewers are sometimes wrong. That does cause you doubts. But part of the process, you just have to try to put those doubts to one side and say, this is what I got. I can't help it. This is the data. This is how it came out. This is how I recorded it. We have to take it from there and take it or leave it.
As Dr. Courtney Brown finally reviewed the work, he knew he had the answers to his questions about the assassination itself, but also something much more important on another level.
As a remote viewer, you're always waiting to get your feedback. And that moment you do, and that moment you get the realization and that aha feeling that yes, you were there, yes, you were on target, you didn't make a complete fool of yourself. That's a nice feeling. It kind of washes over you, It's almost a sense of relief, really. And even more so with these video projects that we do for the Farsight Institute, because
Okay, so there you have it. Yes, we do exist beyond this flesh body. That's how the universe is built. And that's how it operates. So very insightful. And thank you, Daz Smith, for that psychic reading, that remote viewing of the assassination of John F. Kennedy. So some kind of seed that has been running through the timeline of this nation since 1963, it's still in place and it's still highly charged. And JFK, he was met by other beings, light beings, angels, whatever you want to call them. Some people call them ETs, but they were loving beings who met him on the other side. You know, when we, from hearing about enough deaths, death experiencers, those who die quickly, and those who read, and those are called mediums, of people who have died quickly, once they pass into the higher dimension, the higher frequency very quickly, many times they just sort of sit there and sort of rest because the transition was so quick. And it sounds like some of that went on with John F. Kennedy, but it did sound like it was purposeful and it was planned in a sense. It was an event that was planned to happen on this material level. Exactly why, we didn't hear that from Daz, but the fact that JFK continued and was with light beings, and that the rest of life, it didn't matter anymore. And that is a very, very common sentiment from death experiencers when they return back to their flesh body, is when they were dead, this life didn't matter anymore. Their children, their wives, their husbands, their jobs, their wealth, any of that stuff, it doesn't matter anymore. Very interesting perspective about this material physical life on earth. And we heard it right there from Daz, and the way that JFK felt after he was suddenly assassinated, the horrific event, it didn't matter. So this is to help give you perspective about your own life. It's very good perspective to keep in helping us not take ourselves so seriously and taking life so seriously. Yes, live it to the fullest and fulfill the mission you came here to fulfill, but taking it not as seriously as others would like us to take it is really good mental health and gives us perspective on our current life and the entire life that we're living. So this is educational. This is JJ from Paranormal Talks. Hope you liked it. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be talking to you later. Thanks. Bye-bye.